Hello, this is Shinobi Bench. Today, I'd like to talk about how negative repetitive practice can be the reason behind plateaus in bench press progress. Repetitive practice is extremely important for improving bench press form. However, there are two types of repetitive practice: good repetitive practice and bad repetitive practice. When you engage in bad repetitive practice, it can actually cause your progress to stall. In this video, I'll clearly explain the difference between good and bad repetitive practice and share how to train in a way that avoids plateaus. The overall flow will cover how we acquire movement patterns, the cause of weight plateaus, solutions and prevention, how to structure your sets. This channel is dedicated to helping you get stronger in the bench press, so if you find it helpful, please consider subscribing and giving the video a thumbs up. Let's begin by thinking about how we learn form. At first, you perform your bench press while consciously thinking, "I'll do it this way." You think through the form as you go, retract your scapulae, set up your arch, engage your legs, and lower the bar to the same spot each time. When setting up, you're focused and your attention is directed to various points throughout the rep. Over time, you become accustomed to the form and can perform it without thinking too much. This shift from conscious to unconscious execution happens in any type of skill learning. That's what allows us to move our bodies without thinking about every detail. You don't consciously plan each step when walking or running, right? Like, lift my right foot at a 30-degree angle with this much force, land on the heel, and prepare to take the next step. Now, both conscious and unconscious movement have pros and cons. Conscious movement lets you control your body and be aware of the fine details, but it also requires more brain power, which takes away from your ability to produce force. As a result, your output is reduced. On the other hand, unconscious movement frees the brain from that mental effort, allowing you to focus more of your capacity on output, resulting in greater force production. So, which is better, conscious or unconscious movement? Actually, both are essential stages in learning any skill. Now, some of you may have already realized the key point. Repetitive practice causes plateaus when it becomes unconscious. Unconscious movement allows your body to execute what it has learned efficiently and without wasted energy, which is great for lifting heavy weights. As trainees, we constantly push ourselves with max efforts and heavy sets, so our movements under these loads inevitably become unconscious. But let's think about what happens then. When you're grinding out reps with all your might in an unconscious state, is your form really as ideal as you had imagined? Probably not. It certainly isn't for me. Your liftoff might be shaky, your bottom position might feel unstable, your elbows may flare out a bit, and it might feel like you're pressing more with your shoulders. All of this often happens unconsciously. So what happens if you keep training like this? Your bad form under heavy effort becomes the movement pattern that gets ingrained. And since it's all unconscious, you won't even realize what's wrong, and you'll fall into a slump. Simply put, you've developed bad habits. That's the reason repetitive practice can cause weight plateaus. This applies to any sport. Once this happens, the harder you try, the deeper you sink. So then, how do you escape this slump? Or better yet, how can you prevent falling into it in the first place? The answer is to alternate between conscious and unconscious movement. In other words, repeat cycles of form-focused training and output-focused training. This allows you to fix the bad habits formed during unconscious movement through conscious corrections. Let me give you a concrete example. After you've pushed yourself with a top set or max effort to the point where you nearly fail, drop the weight by about 10 kilograms and perform another set. If that goes well, increase the weight by 2.5 kilograms and continue. What you do in these lighter sets is the key. You focus your awareness on every part of your body and execute clean, mindful reps. Tempo bench press, where you slow down the lowering phase, is a great option too. By doing this, you bring conscious attention back into training that had become too instinctual or sloppy under heavy loads. It gives you the opportunity to correct misalignments in your form and gain new awareness. By repeating this cycle of light to heavy, conscious to unconscious, you'll gradually solidify your ideal form. Here's an important point. You must lower the weight once you hit your max, automatically and without emotion. What I mean is, don't let emotion decide. If you keep retrying the same heavy weight because you just want to get it, you'll keep repeating the bad unconscious reps. To avoid that, even if you want to try again, drop the weight. Of course, it depends on the situation, and I myself sometimes let emotions take over and try again. But as a general principle, stick to this structure. Also, unless you have a clear idea or verbal definition of what your ideal form is. This conscious-unconscious cycle might not be very effective. It's also important to develop the ability to feel feedback from your body. We often call this sense. Let's train that sense as well. This method of structuring sets is something I learned directly from bench press world champion Mr. Kodama. I received his permission to share this method publicly. Through his guidance, I repeatedly went through the cycle of push to the top, lower the weight, readjust, and I could feel my form becoming more stable. I've been pondering why that works for a while now, and I've finally come to a conclusion, which I wanted to share with you today. Alright, that's all for today's video. If you found it interesting or feel like cheering me on, please subscribe to the channel and give it a thumbs up. Let's keep working hard on our bench press. See you next time. Bye.